Shanti Mantra. This is on page 46 of the book Universal Prayers, the second one on that page. Om Vang me manasi pratishtita mano me vachi pratishtitam aviravir maedhi vedasya maanistha shrutam me ma prahasi anena adhitena ahoratran sandadhami ritam vadishyami satyam vadishyami tanmamavatu tadvaktaramavatu avatu mam avatu vaktaram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. May my speech be fixed in the mind. May my mind be fixed in the speech. O self-manifested Atman, do thou manifest thyself unto me. O my mind and speech, may you be fit to reveal unto me the highest knowledge. May I not forget what I have heard. Without forgetting what I have learned, may I be able to study day and night. The right will I speak. The truth will I speak. May Brahman protect me. May Brahman protect the preceptor. May Brahman protect me. May Brahman protect the preceptor. Om peace. Peace and joy be within us all. Peace and harmony amongst all beings. And peace be everywhere in nature. This Shanti Mantra emphasizes the importance of keeping the mind and speech pure and coordinated, harmonized. If the mind and speech are not pure, then we cannot get any knowledge. For seekers of knowledge, these two instruments are to be kept in perfect conditions, Vak and Manas. Because all knowledge comes only through speech, words, and comes to the mind. So, and second thing in this mantra is, we should not forget what we study. We should keep going back to the previous chapters or whatever we study, and periodically review and not forget what we have studied. The third thing that this mantra says is diligence in study. May I study day and night, especially Vedanta study and spiritual practice. And not only study, spiritual practice has to be done as a full-time occupation, work, not a part-time. If you just do half an hour japa in the morning, half an hour in the evening, the rest of the time lead our lives anyway, that won't work at all. So all the time, day and night, we have to keep the thought of God in our minds all the time. So that is the importance of the 3 points important in this Shanti Mantra. Now we go back to chapter 4. Last time.
Swami, can I ask a quick question?
Yes, yes.
I only noticed this now, so I'm sorry. You said Ritam Vadishyami and Satyam Vadishyami. So what is the difference between those two?
Ritam is what is right. Satyam is what is always true. So that means in the empirical, day-to-day Vyavaharik context, we have to say what is right. And that is Ritam. It must be true also. And in the spiritual context, Satyam is the ultimate truth. Satyam is Brahman. Brahma Satyam. So in the spiritual context, Satyam means ultimate truth that we have to say. In the daily context, empirical, vyavaharic context, we have to say what is right. So both are about not much difference, about the same. What we say must be true and right. Swami Chetananandaji came here last year or the year before. He gave this explanation. Somebody asked him the same question: what is the difference between Satyam and Ritam? And this is what he explained, as I understood. So what we say must be true, it must be right and proper. So that's why Shanti Mantra says, Ritam vadishyami, Satyam vadishyami, Tanmamavatu, Tanmamavatu means. That means what I say, true and right. Mam avatu. Avatu means may it protect me. Mam means me. What we say, what we think protects us. If you say and think wrong things, then we'll get into trouble. That won't protect us. If you always say the truth and what is right, then it will protect us. Dharma, dharmo rakshiti rakshitaha. The Mahabharata is one of the biggest epic. If somebody in the Mahabharata itself summarized the whole Mahabharata for more than 1 lakh slokas, 100,000 slokas, in only 3 words. Dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. That's the summary of Mahabharata. Rest of it is all stories and supporting this truth. Dharma, if you protect. Rakshita dharma. Rakshita means what is protected. Dharma. Rakshati, it protects us. If you abandon dharma, then our life will go down. So dharma means truth. Satyam dharmam. Satyam chara dharmam mada. Now let us go to Gita. Last time we studied.
Thank you, Swami.
4:18.
Maharaj, can I ask you one just
question? Yes. Ask me, not quick, can ask me detailed question. I'm here for that.
Okay. You said half an hour in the morning, half an hour in the evening. That's not enough all day. You know, I mean, and it says work is worship. What does it say work as worship then?
If you do all work as worship, then you're always worshipping. You're always doing some work.
Okay.
Including eating, talking, walking, sleeping, playing with your grandchildren. It's all work. It's all worship. Sri Ramakrishna said, I don't know the page number in Gospel. He said, when you feed your child, think you are feeding Gopala, baby Gopala.
Okay.
So it's all work is worship, except bad work which we have given up long back. Nishiddha karma, telling lies and cheating, that we have long ago given up. We are not going to go back to that. Other than that, any work, secular or spiritual, even cooking, cleaning, feeding your family members and guests, washing the clothes and laundry, all worship only. How? Because when you cook and serve your family members or guests, who eats the food? Who eats the food? The Lord himself in all those people. He is present in all the people as Vaishwanara eating the food you serve. You are serving the Lord. In what way it is different from worship? So all work has to be done. Supposing you eat yourself, nobody is there one day, you have to eat. Even that is also worship. Specifically, Sri Krishna mentions eating food for oneself is also worship. In the Gita, he specifically mentioned it. Eating is worship. You know where it is mentioned? 9:27.
Chapter 15.
15:14, 9:27 specifically.
Okay.
Chapter 9, verse 27. Sri Krishna directly has mentioned, when you eat food, do it as an offering to me, because he's receiving the food as Vaishwanara. It is worship. So there is no time when you are not worshipping God. Even sleeping is worship, Shankaracharya says. Nidra samadhi sthitihi. There's one very nice verse, Shankara's verse. Because the question is, how can all work be done as worship? The answer is given by Shankaracharya. I think it comes in the Aparadakshimapana Stotram. There he says, Atmatvam girijamati sahachara prana shariram griham pujate vishayopabhoga rachana nidra samadhisthitihi sanchara padayo pradakshina vidhi stotrani sarvagiro yadyat karma karomi tattadakhilam shambho tavaradhanam. Let's go to the last line. Shambho, O Lord Shiva, yadyat karma karomi, whatever work I do, tattadakhilam, all that work, tava aradhanam is your worship. That's what we should say to God. Whatever, O Lord, whatever I am doing, is all your worship. He gives some examples. How it all work is worship. Who is the Lord? Atmatvam is my own Atman is God. Who is really I? The Lord himself. We think the body, mind are the I. That is ignorance. He is the Lord. He is the true I. Atmatvam, O Lord, you are myself, my Atman. And who is Girija? Girija is Parvati. Girija Matihi. Mati means intellect. She resides in our personality as the intellect, guiding force. Sahachara, prana. Sahachara means walking companions. Who are they? The pranas, 5 pranas. They're always there from birth until death. They never leave. They're always our companions in this life. Sahachara means companion. Shariram graham. Who is this residence where the Parvati Shiva are residing? Shariram, this body. This is their home residence for some time. Temporary residence. Sometimes they will not be there. Body goes away. Pujate vishayopabhoga rachana. Vishaya means sense object. Whenever I interact with any sense object, then I'm doing puja. Say puja, your worship. Whatever action I'm doing is your worship. Nidra samadhi sthitihi. When I go to sleep, that also is a kind of samadhi. I go into samadhi means no worldly thought. Mind becomes completely silent as in samadhi, in deep sleep. So shupti. Sanchara pradayo pradakshina vidhi. Padayoho sancharaha. When I walk with my feet, either inside the house or anywhere else, pradakshina vidhi, there's all your parikrama. Whenever I go from this room to that room in the house, then I'm doing the parikrama. They're always there. Sanchara padayo pradakshina vidhi stotrani sarvagiro. What means speech? Whatever speech I say, stotra is your praise, him. I'm praising you through all the words. Yad yad karma karomi tattadakhilam. Whatever work I do, all of that, O Lord Shambho, tavaradhanam is your worship. So this way, if we think of everything as worship, you're always worshipping God. So whenever we do some work, we should not say, why should I do this work? This is, I don't like. No, this is worship of God. Let me do it properly with love, with devotion. May the Lord be pleased. I'm offering this to my Lord as my worship. That bhava attitude, if you keep your mind, that is spiritual practice 24 hours. That is the essence of this Bhagavad Gita. All work is worship. All work is yajna offering. Okay. Any other question?
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you.
All right. Now, we go to shloka number 90. The remaining shlokas are not that difficult. Number 90. Yasya sarve samarambha kama sankalpa varjita jnanagni dagdha karmanam tamahu panditam buddha. Now, the translation is, him the wise call a man of discrimination all of whose undertakings are free from desire-prompted imaginations, and all of whose works have been consumed in the fire of knowledge. So this translation is not very helpful. Let's understand. Buddha means wise people, Buddhiman. Buddha means plural, wise people. Tam Panditam Ahuhu. Tam means him, certain person. They call him Pandita. Pandita means a person who has knowledge. Wise people call someone a Pandita. Whom do they call a Pandita? Whose all activities are done without desiring for benefit. Yasya, whose survey samarambha, all undertakings. Samarambha means undertakings. Whose all work or kama sankalpa varjita. Varjita means free, given up. Free from kama sankalpa. Sankalpa means the desire to do something to get some benefit from that work. That is scheming, calculating. If I do this work at this time in this way, this benefit will come and I will get the benefit. That kind of calculation is called sankalpa, with the desire to get benefit from work. Kama sankalpa varjita. Work has to be done not for getting something out of it for me. There will be some benefit for me, it will come anyhow, but it's not my motivation. Work has to be done, whatever it is required to be done, that has to be done as worship, as offering, and good will definitely come to me. My motivation is not how much do I get from it, what do I get from it. My motivation is to serve the Lord in all the beings. How can I serve God? How can I give something to God? He does not come in front of me as Rama or Krishna and accept my work. It is not possible. He comes in the form of all the beings. He's always there. I'm always interacting with him. I'm interacting with God right now, though on the computer screen, small images. But who is there listening to my words? All the people who are listening to my words are the Lord himself. You know where it says in the Gita, if anybody, even if a cat listens to my lecture, the Lord himself is listening in that cat's body. It's specifically mentioned in the Gita, specifically. All ears are God's ears. All eyes are God's eyes. Now, so many people, how many people? I mean, there are 42 people now, right now, on Zoom. 42 people are watching me. Now, through all those 42 pairs of ears, who is watching me? The Lord himself. This mentioned in the, I'll give the Gita number, shloka number. 42, through 42 pairs of eyes, Bhagavan is watching me, though I must appear decent, because he is watching me. Bhagavan is listening to my words to 42 pairs of ears. I must say what is only true and right. My responsibility. All eyes are God's eyes. All ears are God's ears. All feet are God's feet. All hands are God's hands. All mouths are God's mouths. This is what Sri Krishna has said in the 13th chapter. So let us, very important shloka. I'll tell you where he says this one. Verse 13. This is 12. Chapter number 13. Sarvatah panipadam sat sarvatokshishiro mukham sarvatah shrutimal. If you keep that in mind, then we cannot do anything wrong. We cannot say anything wrong. 13. Yeah, some of you studied it before. Yes, 13. There, let us chant the very important verse. Make a note of it, though we are not in chapter 13. Very important. Please make a note. It tells us how we should do all our work as worship. 13:13. Sarvatah panipadam tat sarvatokshishiro mukham sarvatah shrutimaloke sarvamavritya tishtati. Sarvatah pani. Pani means hands. All hands are God's hands, including animals' hands, not only people. Sarvatah panipadam. All feet are God's feet. Sarvatah akshi, all eyes are God's eyes. Even if this nobody, no person is watching me, but if a dog is sitting in the front yard and watching me, the Lord is watching me. I'm never alone. He's present there. Sarvato, Kshishiro, Mukshira means all heads are God's heads. Mukham, all faces are God's faces. Whenever you see somebody, whom are you seeing? I'm saying, I'm seeing this person, that person. No, we are seeing God. That is the truth. One truth we have to remember in our lives. The basis of all spiritual practice, He is present in all. I'm interacting with Him every moment in my life. Whatever I say, He is hearing. Whatever I do, He is watching. He knows my mind. What is happening in my mind, He knows. If you are aware of His presence all the time, that is essence of spiritual practice. Practicing the presence of God. Some years ago, in Ganges and Pittsburgh, other places, I did a weekend retreat, seeing and serving God in all. This was the topic. So let's go back to 13:13. Sarvata Kshishiro Mukham, all faces are God's faces. Sarvata Shrutimat, Shrutimat means ears. All ears are God's ears. So whatever I say, He is hearing. So I must be responsible and say only what is true, what is right. Because He is hearing through all the ears. Loke sarvamavritya tishtati. In this world, pervading everything, sarvamavritya tishtati. He is present. So what does this mean to us in our daily life? The implication of this shloka 13:13. It means every action I do must be done keeping in mind that He is the recipient of that action. Recipient means what I say is hearing, and what I'm hearing, what I'm thinking, he knows, and what I do, He's watching. That means all the time I must do all my only what is good work, and the improper action we should not do. I should say only what is true and what is right and what is necessary. I should not say profanity, falsehood. Absolutely no. He's hearing every word I'm saying. That is the essence of Karma Yoga, doing everything as worship. And this is mentioned in one more shloka. See, I'm not doing shloka number 1, 2, 3, 4 in every chapter. That's one way. But I'm connecting ideas in different parts of Gita. Some people like it. Some people say, why don't you do 1, 2, 3, 4? Simpler. But association of similar ideas is important to understand the ideas and put into practice. One more shloka. All this will come again. If it makes it, don't miss it, don't worry. Chapter 18, shloka 46. There directly, Bhagwan Sri Krishna says, by doing all work as worship, a person will receive realization. By doing all work as worship, a person will achieve realization. The second line of shloka 46 in chapter 18. There he says, Sakarmana tamabhyarcha siddhim vindati manavaha. Swakarma means our own duty. We don't have to change our duty. We don't have to, if I'm only a clerk in the office, I don't have to become a CEO. Clerk is okay. Clerical work is okay. But if it is done as worship, it will take me to the same goal as any other spiritual practice. Swakarmana tam abhyarcha, worshipping Him. Tam means Him. What happened? What is the result of worship? Doing all work as worship? Manavaha siddhim vindati. Manam means human being achieves perfection. Perfection means purity of mind leading to liberation, moksha. If you ask the question, whom are we worshipping? Tam means whom. Tam means him. Whom are we worshipping? The answer is in the first line of 1846. There he says, Yata pravrittir bhutanam yena sarvamidam tatam. Yata means from whom all these beings have come. Bhutanam pravritti. Animals and plants and trees and earth and sun and moon and stars, everything has come from God. Upanishad says. Yena, by whom? Idam sarvam tatam. The whole universe is pervaded. There's no place where he is not. There's nothing in which he is not. He is always there, everywhere, in everything, including us also. So by worshipping him, how? Swakarmana, by doing our own work as worship. Then what happens? Manavaha siddhim vindati. Human being achieves perfection. Perfection here means purity of mind leading to liberation, moksha. So we come back to now 419, which we're studying. Yasya sarve samarambhaha kama sankalpa varjitaha. A person, all of whose works are free from expectation of selfish benefit, who performs all work as worship without asking for anything in return. The Lord knows what I need. I don't have to remind him. Without my asking, he will provide what I need, what I need to have, he will provide. That's the faith a devotee has in God. He will provide what we need at the right time. Sometimes we don't have what we need. That can be ascribed to our karma because we did not do something that deserves. So that takes us to a different Prarabdha karma theory. We don't want to go into that. It will be too much outside the topic. Jnanadi dagda karmanam. A person whose all karma have been burnt by the fire of knowledge. Jnana agni dagda. Dagda means burnt. Karmanam. A person, all of whose works have been burnt by the fire of knowledge. What does it mean? Knowledge here means self-knowledge. Knowledge also means that I'm doing all work as worship, doing all work as worship. If you do that, what happens is you will not be bound by the karma. Karma phala, samskara will not accrue. He'll be free from the bondage of karma. Otherwise, if we perform all work with desire for a fruit of action, then we'll be bound. Karma phala will come, then that will lead us to more karma. Karma phala will come, we'll get stuck in the samsara chakra. Samsara chakra means cycle of birth and death. Will be there forever. If you don't want to be there to escape this cycle and achieve God or liberation, then we have to perform all our work as offering, as worship, as instrument, as a servant, as we saw last time. Those are the means to become free from the bondage of karma, karma phala. Such a person who performs all work in this way is called a pandita by whom? By the wise people. Buddha tam panditam ahu. Ahu means they said. So that shloka is clear. These ideas have come before, they will come again also in 5th chapter also, same things will come. So what we should do, how we should do work? In shloka number 20. Tyaktva karma phala sangam nitya tripto nirashrayaha karmanya vipravrittopi naiva kinchit karoti saha. The translation is, sometimes the translation is not very clear. Giving up attachment to the fruits of works, eternally content, independent, the man engaged in works as he is, does nothing at all. That means does not have kartapan nahi. So let us understand this, verse number 20. Karma phala sangam tyaktva. Sangha means attachment. Attachment to karma phala. Tyaktva means giving up. Giving up attachment to karma phala. That's the basic idea that we have been studying from chapter 2. I'll explain where it came earlier. Karma phala sangam tyaktva. Giving up attachment to karma phala. I do karma, but I'm not attached to fruit. Whatever fruit comes, I'll accept it, good or bad, without complaining, but I'm not attached to it. If it comes, it's good. If it does not come, it's good. Tyaktva karma phala sangam. Nitya triptaha. Tripti means contentment. Always remaining content with what is. Not hankering for more, not hankering for something different. Because in whatever condition we find ourselves to be this moment, whether I'm happy or unhappy, sick or well or poor or rich, whatever I am this moment, is my own making. Swami Vivekananda said, no misery comes to anyone except as one has paved the way for it oneself. If I'm happy today, it's my own making. If I'm unhappy today, it's my own making. I made myself, I thought and did all the work in such a way that I find myself in this present situation. No one is responsible. So no blaming others. Nitya tripta means remaining content, but not greedy. Tripti and contentment is the opposite of greed. Greed is very bad. Nitya tripta means always remaining content, not complaining about the present situation. Nirashrayaha, not depending upon anything or anyone. A true yogi or a bhakta depends only on God, not on anybody else. Entrusting our whole life and well-being to God and telling God every day, morning, evening, my life is at your disposal. I place my life at your feet. In whatever way condition you keep me, I will be there. If you give me the job of a servant at the end, sitting at the entrance of a building, and my job is there to whoever comes, they leave the shoes, polish their shoes and keep them in order. Visit. I'm not going inside the building. I'm at the outer door of the building. And when they come back, I'll give their shoes back, not expecting anything. That is how one should be. In whatever condition, wherever he keeps me, there I will do my work with contentment. You know who practiced this one? There's a person who actually practiced this one. That was, you have heard his name, Brother Lawrence. I've told the story sometimes. His job was, his story is very interesting, but I don't want to go into the details now. At one time, he joined a monastery, Christian monastery, Carmelite monastery, I think. So they gave him the job of repairing the shoes of all the other monks. Because he could not do any other work, he was working in the kitchen. That became difficult because of his leg problem. He was in the army and his leg was injured. So what work can he do? All right, repair the shoes of other monks. So many monks were there. So he sat somewhere in a corner in the monastery where all people, whoever needed their shoes to be repaired, they will bring and throw their shoes near him. And his job was to repair them, polish them, give it back to them. You know how he did that work? With absolute joy as worship. As worship. So what is the basis for his practice? 13:13 in the Gita. Brother Lawrence never studied the Gita. It was not available in the 16th century when he was there. But he considered that job of repairing broken shoes of other monks as worship of God. With that attitude, he did this work. Because all feet are God's feet. Sarvatah Panipadam, 13:13. He didn't know the shloka, but you don't have to know the shloka. You don't have to know Sanskrit. He got the idea. Sarvatah Panipadam, all feet are God's feet. Whoever wears this shoe, God himself is wearing the shoe. In all the bodies, he is there. All feet are his feet. So he polished and repaired the shoes and gave it back to the monks. That was his worship. Could not do any other kind of work because of his disability. He became a great bhakta, great jnani. And it gave him so much joy that he would, out of sheer joy, he would prostrate wherever he was, in the kitchen, wherever he was. His work gave him some, because he did everything as worship of God. As a servant, he did. You see, you don't need any special qualification. Don't have to know Gita or Upanishad or Sanskrit. Just the attitude, simple thing. That is what is needed. Doing everything as worship. Seeing God in all. I'm serving the Lord in whatever form he comes, whatever way he wants me to serve him, repair his shoes, I'll be happy to do that one. If he gives me the job as a cook, I'll serve him in this way, I'll prepare food and serve him in all the people who eat my food. That's my service of the Lord. That attitude has to be cultivated, depending only on God, nirashraya, not depending upon any other person, their praise or reward, or not depending upon that. Karmani abhipravrittaha api naiva kinchit karoti saha. Though he is always engaged in work. Abhipravritta means engaged. Karmani means in work. Though always performing some work, whether it is repairing shoes or cooking or cleaning or administering a department or treating patients or teaching students or working in a bank, whatever work God gives me, that work I will do as his worship. I'm not going to ask, give me this work or that work, because every work is worship. Whomever I serve, I'm serving him. So there is no discontent. Nitya tripta. Supposing there is a clerk in the office, he is very unhappy because his office supervisor is giving him orders, do this, don't do that. And some engineer is there in charge of the department. And he says, I'm only a clerk. I'm unhappy. That does not happen to a spiritual seeker, because serving as a clerk is also God's service. I'm serving whomever I'm serving the Lord. If I have that feeling, then there's no discontent. With that job, I'm happy. As Brother Lawrence was happy with repairing the shoes, he didn't complain, why should I repair other people's shoes? He didn't complain. Welcomed it, this worship of God. For such a person, there is no discontent. Nitya tripta. Karmani abhipravrittopi. Though he is engaged in any kind of work, saha naiva kinchit karami. He is free from notion of kartrutva. He is doing work, but he does not think I'm doing anything. Naiva kinchit karami. Free from the notion of kartrutva means kartapan in Hindi. मैं करता हूँ, ये भावना कर्तापन है. I'm doing this work is ignorance. I'm only a servant. I'm only his instrument. I'm doing it as an offering, as worship, as seva. So that feeling is the right attitude. Such a person is never bound. He is on the way to liberation. God tests us by putting in different situations. Today he made me a Swami and put me in the best place, ashrama, best ashrama I can see anywhere in the world. But it was not always like that. I had to do other kinds of things in my previous ashrama. For 2 years, I was the mailing clerk in the government department. And my salary was 55 rupees. And that salary was to support a family of 5 people. I was unhappy because I did not know this Gita. Unfortunately, nobody told me about Bhagavad Gita. Why am I only a clerk? Other people are supervisors and engineers. If you had only known this, any of these shlokas of the Gita, somebody had told me, I would have joyfully been a clerk. Yeah, later on, gradually understanding came, but it took a long time. Such a thing does not happen to a devotee or a jnani. Any work, any situation, lowest position, I'm absolutely joyful because I'm serving the Lord. If I am given as a work, supposing Swami Atmagyanji tells me tomorrow that your job is to sweep vacuum the whole floor. He doesn't do it because he knows I cannot even do that work, physical problem. But if he does, I will be absolutely joyfully will do that one. I will. That is what Gita study does. No discontent. Nityatriptaha, always joyful, happy, content with whatever is happening. That attitude you have to cultivate. Such a person is a bhakta, such a person is a jnani, such a person reaches the goal of seeing God, ultimately liberation. Kinchit karo, naiva kinchit karoti saham. Then description of such a person continues in Shloka 12. All these are instructions for us to do. Describing a karma yogi means we have to do all these things. Instructions for us to do. That's why these things are being mentioned here. So Shloka number 21. Nirashir yata chittatma tyakta sarva parigraha shariram kevalam karma kurvannapnoti kilbisham. Nirashihi yata chittatma tyakta sarva parigraha shariram kevalam karma kurvan kilbisham na apnoti. The word na is hidden there. Kurvan na apnoti. So the word na is there. Kurvan na apnoti is made of three words. Kurvan na apnoti. Na apnoti does not have, will not acquire. Kilbisham, impurity, sin. So let us see the translation of 21. Free from expectations, controlling mind and self, renouncing all possessions, one who does but an exclusive form of bodily work incurs no sin. Shariram karma means, in the commentary Shankara says, Sharira sthiti matra prayojanam kevalam tatrapi abhimana varjitam karma kurvan na apnoti kilbisham papam. That means performing whatever work is required for maintaining the body, not for enjoying pleasures or gaining fame or anything else. Whatever is needed, minimum work for body maintenance, with that only we should be content. Nirashi. The word Nirashi has come before in chapter 3, verse number 30. Nirashir nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigata jvaraha. Nirashi means not expecting any benefit. Asha means hope. Not hoping to get something from work. Nirashi. Nirashi does not mean a hopeless person. That's not the meaning. Nirashi means not expecting some benefit for oneself from the work one does. Doing it for this as service to everybody, service to God. May everybody benefit from my work. I'm not doing it only for my benefit. But what really happens is, if you work for everybody's benefit, I will be benefited too. Supposing you're in a department, some company department or government department. 20 people are working there, you are one of them. Some work is given to you. Now you can do it in two ways. One way is looking at the clock. 9 to 5, 9 o'clock you come and punch in the entry time and look at the clock. At 5 o'clock you leave. And do the minimum, somehow get it out of the way. One way to do work, one attitude. Another way is to do the same job joyfully. I'm happy that God has given me this work, like Brother Lawrence. Lowest kind of work, no complaining, joyfully. Always, now I remember Brother Lawrence, but at that time, unfortunately, I had not heard about him. We didn't have Gita class like this in the earlier days. So, without complaining, joyfully doing the same clerical work, this is also service of God. Whomever I am serving him. This department is meant for something, to achieve something for the company or for government. Governments, all the people of this country. I'm serving them. And benefit, whatever comes, I will accept it. Salary or whatever comes, I will accept it. I will be nitya trapta. I will not complain about this not there, that is not there. I'll be content. I'm doing it joyfully, thankfully, because work is a privilege. Privilege means it's not something that we are entitled to. If it comes, it's a gift. We don't think of work as a gift because we always have some work to do. But if you're deprived of it, then we realize the value of work. If a person has nothing to do, he'll be miserable. So work is a gift. Ability to do work and the opportunity to do work, both are very precious gifts. We have both of them, so we don't think of them as gift. We take it for granted. But there are many, many people, hundreds of thousands of people who are unemployed or who cannot work at all, disabled people. Disabled people, they can't do anything. They want to do something, but they cannot do. Disability. They are very unhappy because no ability is not there. Some people are able to do work, able-bodied people, but they have no job, unemployment. They are miserable. If we have both of these, opportunity to do work, ability to do work, we are extremely blessed people, and we should be thankful for the work that we have been given to do. With great gratitude, we have to do the work. Not grudgingly, why should I do this one? Not like that, joyfully. That's how joyfully Brother Lawrence worked. Please read his biography. Brother Lawrence. The name of the book is Practice of the Presence of God. Practice of the Presence of God. This small book. He didn't write the book. It's a collection of the letters he wrote without knowing that they will be published after he posthumously after he passed away. He didn't know it was published. It would be published. He just wrote some private letters to somebody, other monks, and they were collected and published as a book. Practice of the Presence of God. So that describes the actual attitude which Bhagavan Krishna is explaining in the slokas in the Gita. Yata nirashi, without expecting any benefit from one's work for oneself. Yata chitta atma. Chitta means mind, atma means body. Atma also can mean the mind. Yata means controlled. With controlled body and mind, body includes speech and everything. Speech has to be controlled, mind has to be controlled, sense organs have to be controlled. Yata chitta atma. Tyatta sarva parigraha. Giving up all possessions which are not necessary. Accumulating things is very much unhelpful to spiritual seekers. Some lady, she accumulated 6,000 pairs of shoes. She actually, her name was Imelda Marcos in previous generation. Now, if a person acquires 6,000 pairs of shoes, what is the meaning of that action? How many pairs do you really need? Every day, how many pairs of shoes can you need? For winter, you have to have snow shoes. And summer, you have to have some simple shoes. And maybe for a party, another pair of shoes. And maybe 10 pairs of shoes is okay. But 6,000 pairs of shoes, that means the mind is a sick mind. But a true jnani, bhakta, yogi, devotee, simple lifestyle, keeping only what is necessary, nothing more. If you ask me what happens if you keep more things than you need, the more things we have, they will exert influence on our mind. You can experiment this one. If you sleep in a room where there is nothing, basic things are there, a bed, maybe a chair or a table or some bookshelf, some closet where you put the clothes. That's all we need for a sleeping room. But if you sleep in the White House in Lincoln bedroom one night, you won't be able to sleep. I have not gone there, but I know it. all the things are there, will exert influence on our mind. The more things we have, more we are subject to influence of those. Though they are simply sitting there, inanimate objects, but they exert influence on our mind. You can experiment this. Living in a simple room. I think I told you last time in Swami Vijnananda's room in Ahmedabad ashram. Used to stay in Ahmedabad. I went to see Rudra. He was not there. He passed away long before. In that room, there were only two things were there. A wooden cot, not very fancy cot, just a basic wooden cot. And in the corner there was a earthen water jug, a long neck jug, because Ahmedabad is a very hot place. So water remains cool in a earthen jug. Only two things were there. We didn't have anything. Simplest lifestyle. Sarva Tyakta Sarup Parigraha, not keeping anything more than what is really necessary. It's called Aparigraha. Patanjali calls it Aparigraha. Aparigraha means not accepting anything other than the most basic needs. Even if you can afford, you don't have to keep those things. It's bondage. It's all upadhi. Everything is an upadhi. And upadhis have to be given up one by one, not accumulating more upadhis. More things means more upadhis, no attachment, more attachment. Shariram kevalam karma, performing only duties required for maintaining the body in good condition. Kilbesham na apnoti, performing karma kurvan, performing action in this way, does not incur any sin. No impressions will be formed in the mind. It will be clean slate. That's how a yogi, a karma yogi, devotee, jnani, they have to work in this way. Now we go to sloka number 22. This is also easy. Yadrichala basantushto dvandvatito vimatsaraha samasiddhava siddhaucha kritvapi nanibadhyate. Content with what is gained by chance, beyond dualities, rid of competitive spirit, equanimous in gain and loss, one is not bound in spite of working. Karma does, one can do karma, but no bondage, no attachment, nothing. So how to do work? Many things have come before, they will come again. Yadrichalava santushtaha. Santushta means contentment. Previous sloka also it came. Nityatrapta, always content. Santushtaha, remaining content. How? Yadrichalava, whatever comes unsolicited, of its own. Whatever, we should not strive to acquire things. That means then you're expecting some benefit from that work. Whatever comes by itself, unsolicited, aprarthitam, with that I'm happy. I'm not seeking anything. Whatever the Lord gives, with that I'm happy. Contentment. Yadrichalabha santushtaha dvandvatitaha. Dvandva means the pairs of opposites, happiness and unhappiness, success and failure, pain and pleasure, gain and loss. These are all pairs of opposites. We should not be stuck in that. We should not have expectation that I should always succeed. If I don't succeed, I should not become unhappy after having done my best. If I gain something, I should not exult. If I lose something, I should not become sad. Remaining unaffected by dvandva. Dvandvatita means remaining unaffected by dualities. This came in the second chapter. Dvandva nirdvandvo bhava, Sri Krishna said. And I think it's sloka number 45. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna Nirdvandvo Nitya Sattvastho Niryaga Kshema Atmaman Nirdvandva Bhava. Be free from dvandvas. So same thing here. Dvandva Titaha. Vimatsaraha, free from enemy. Matsara means enemy, jealous. Somebody has more, I have less. You should not feel bad. Actually, I'm in a better position. If I have fewer things, I'm in a better position. More things means more upadhi, more bondage, more involvement. Simpler life, fewer things, better. Vimansaraha. Samasiddhau asiddhau cha. This has come again several times before. It will come again. Siddhi means success in what we do. Asiddhi means failure in what we have done. Samaha, remaining equal. Not exulting if I succeed, and not becoming dejected if something that I do fails. Because we know from second chapter that success and failure are not under our control. What karma we do, how we do, that is only we have control. Karmani evate adhikaraha, phaleshu mate adhikaraha. Remember the shloka 247, second chapter 47. Krishna said, you have no control over the karma phala, karma phaleshu mate adhikaraha. Why? If you ask the question, answer is because the result of what I do depends upon not only what I do, but what other people do, weather and other conditions over which I have no control. Many other factors besides what I do, besides my effort, control the outcome of my work. We several examples studied this one. In any team effort, everything is a team effort these days. There's nothing you can do by yourself. Even if you are working alone, you are working with many other people in different places at the same time. So what other people do, how they do affects the result of your work. What can you do? I gave the example of a doctor prescribing a blood test to a patient. The doctor writes the prescription. Patient takes the prescription to LabCorp, gives the blood sample. The blood sample goes to the lab, not the place where it is collected, but the separate lab, maybe in different town, it is mailed there. Some technician performs the test. And the supervising doctor sees the result and sends it to the prescribing doctor by fax. And the prescribing doctor has to depend upon what report he gets from the lab. Now, in this series of transactions, how many things can go wrong? The person who draws the blood in the LabCorp, in the lab, may make a mistake. Human error is possible. Labeling error is possible. It happened to me once. The must label my blood sample and somebody else's sample came. So there's a difference to it. Don't want to go into that. That is possible. And the technician who does it in some other place, the lab, who tests the blood sample, he may make a mistake. Or the equipment is that he is using to test the blood sample may be faulty, improper calibration. Or that may be the first day on his job. Or he may have had an argument with his spouse before going to work and in not a good frame of mind, he may make some mistake. So like this series of transactions where at every stage mistake can happen, so many people participate in this series of, and the doctor has to depend upon the report he gets. I went to Washington Hospital Center 5 years ago, and I was there for 2 days. And on the day of last day, they gave me a bunch of lab reports. And I'm looking at the lab reports. This happened to me actually. And the numbers didn't seem right. All seemed out of whack because I know my numbers. But then look at the top of the page. That the lab report was some other 70-year-old lady's report. They gave it to me as my report. It actually happened. This is why we don't know. We don't control the outcome of the work. Many other people participating, weather and other conditions, beyond our control, they all influence the outcome of our work. So we can never be sure that it will be either success or failure. All these are explained in 1814. It's too much detail, so we'll not go there now. Other factors affecting the result of our work, they control the outcome and we have no control over the outcome. Therefore, what I should do my best and accept the outcome as it is, good or bad, success or failure. Sukha dukkhe samay kritva, labha alabho jaya ajayo samay kritva. Jaya means success, Ajaya means absence of success, failure. Samasiddha Vasiddha. That came in 248. Second chapter 48. There Sri Krishna says, Siddhya Siddhyo Samo Bhutva. Second chapter, Shloka 48. We studied that before. We have to go back to old chapters. Yogastha Kuru Karmani Sangam Tyaktva Dhananjaya Siddhya Siddhyo Samo Bhutva Samatvam Yoga Vichyate. Equanimity in success failure is essence of yoga. Siddhi means success, asiddhi means failure. Siddhya Siddhyo Samo Bhutva 248. Same thing else. Samasiddha Siddhaucha. Do my best. I'm not in control. I can't control the outcome. I cannot predict. I cannot control the outcome of my work. So I do my best and leave the rest. It's up to him, the Lord. He is the karma phala data. Kritva pinani badhyate. If you do all our work in this way with this attitude, we'll never be unhappy. We'll always be joyful. Successfully, don't bother us. I've done my best. Same thing in sports. If there are 5 people playing in a NBA basketball team, one person is not well, he doesn't play well. So whole team loses. Other 4 people played very well. They're all the 5 are top rank play. Otherwise, they would not be there playing in the finals. But unfortunately, one day that man didn't feel well, some injury, something, he didn't do the best and the team lost. Whole team will lose. So what can you do? Things like that happen. Too much rain comes and the crop fails. Farmer has done a lot of work throughout the year, farmer, and too much rain comes and the crop is washed away, or no rain comes and no crop comes. So what do we do? You have to accept the outcome. You did your best and it was not to be. So life is full of such circumstances. So when you bring up 3 children in a family, same upbringing, same love, same support you give to everybody, but 3 children grow up in 3 different ways. So what can you do? If one child does not do well, you can't blame yourself, you did the best. You have the same upbringing. That child, prarabdha karma was like that. You can't control that child, also cannot control the previous karma. So we have to do the best and accept the outcome, good or bad, success, failure, calmly. That is the Samasiddha Vasiddhaucha Kritva pinani badhyate. I think it is time now. 23. Should we have some time for questions or? 22 we did, not many shlokas today.
I have some questions, Swamiji.
Yes.
Yeah. See, as we grow older, okay, say I'm now retired. I don't have much of responsibilities anymore. Yeah. So it is easier for me now to be content. Okay. Yes. But when I was younger, in 30s and 40s, I had a lot of responsibility to my parents, to my children and spouse. So in the work field, when I used to work for a company or whatever of my own company, there was always a pressure to do better and better and better. Better means from a financial point of view. So that is where this problem is that, when we are younger, 30s, 40s, 50s, as I say, there is a peer pressure, society pressure to earn more money so that the children can go to better schools. Wife will be happy, she will have better clothes, better car and things like that. Now I'm happy, I'm content because not much, the children have grown up, they are on their own and I have just my spouse with me, that's all. So how do you tell the younger people, because then people will say, then you are professing passivity. You are not being active to do better in life, worldly life. So how would you?
We have to do the best at all times. But the result is not up to us.
Yeah.
You can work very hard. You have to work very hard. Give the best to the work. Don't hold back on anything. But whatever result comes after you have done your best, with that be content.
Yeah, we accept it. We have to do that. You know.
What else can you do besides your best? What else can you do?
Right.
Right.
But I'm saying that is a society pressure.
Yeah, we don't yield to that pressure. I have done my best, and whatever comes, I'm content. Other people's expectations should not guide my life. Okay. If other people expect me to be there, I can't be there. I can't lead my life according to other people's expectation. I do my best.
Yeah.
My abilities.
I had asked Swami Gahanananda ji when he was vice president of Ramakrishna Mission in Calcutta.
Yeah.
Before taking initiation, I said, Swamiji, will I become passive if I take Diksha? He said, no, are we passive?
You have to be more active.
Right.
You have to do the best, not hold back anything. Whenever any work that comes to you, do the very best you can. More than that, you cannot do. Nobody can do more than their best.
Yeah.
And then leave there. I've done my best. Whatever result comes, I'll happily accept that one.
I mean, we have to accept. We have to accept. There is no alternative.
Yeah. Your question was, when you're young, and you expect to live according to society's expectations.
Correct.
But if we had this insight then, when I was in my 30s and 20s, if I had the insight, then I would do my best and be content, would be happy. I would do my best. Generally, if you do your best, you get the best result. Generally. Generally, if you do good work, good result will come.
Right.
Rarely failure happens if you do the best. More than the best you cannot do, and nobody can. So that wisdom, that understanding takes time to come.
Yeah.
Because when you're busy, you have no time to study Gita.
So we should inculcate that to our children also, who are now in 30s and 40s.
Yes, you have to show by example.
Okay.
To tell. That's your responsibility.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Maharaj, can I ask you a question? What is the best time to reach you? Asha.
I'm here all the time. I don't have anything special to do these days. Anytime after 10 o'clock in the morning until 5 in the evening. After 5, we get busy.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Everything. Yeah. You can call me or send me email. And whatever I know, I will be happy to.
Thank you. Thanks.
Very good. Santu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, may all be happy, may all be free from afflictions, diseases. May all understand and follow what is right and appropriate. May no one be subject to misery and unhappiness. Om, peace. May there be peace in our hearts. May there be harmony amongst all beings. And may there be peace in nature. Hari Om Tat Sat Sarvam Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. All of you stay well.